Lower than that, hiking, camping. Yeah,
that's good enough for me. Yeah,
I have hiked Yishan once, and that's enough, I think.
Well, Yishan's a tough one.
Yeah.
Probably the toughest one in Taiwan.
I don't know. I haven't done that many other ones, but I think there are probably more difficult hikes.
Yeah.
It's definitely worth it. It's really beautiful, especially from the Dongpu side, which is the longer hike. Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you bringing the whole tea set here, even though you mainly, this is just for looks, I guess.
This
but
is a receptacle after you finish brewing tea, or often people will rinse the tea before you drink. This is an organic tea. I'll introduce it. It's a one-of-a-kind tea. It comes from the Alishan area. And it's the result of a tea farm being cut off from access. The road was blocked from the Typhoon Morakot in 2008. So for almost a year, this road was closed and the tea farmer could not access his tea garden, and it kind of went wild to an extent. And this was the tea that was first picked after that period of time when the farm could not be managed. And but the kind of blessing in disguise of the result of that is this tea that was produced is, I think, one of the nicest flavor of what is called yenate, in probably pronouncing it not
Taiwanese?
Correctly in Taiwanese,
yeah, I know.
which translates loosely as bug-bitten tea. It's where Oriental Beauty comes from, a traditional type of oolong that's grown in Hsinchu County mostly. And
you're showing everyone how much of a tea connoisseur you are. See, I don't even know about these bug-bitten tea.
Yeah, the latest incarnation of that is concubine tea, or guifei cha,
yes.
which is kind of a meeting of it's allowing the leaves to be bitten by this tiny, small, a very minuscule kind of grasshopper called a leafhopper, and that's how Dongfang Meiren came to be. And there's a long history of that tea being grown in Taiwan, a famous tea that the story has it that the Queen of England gave it that name, Oriental Beauty.
Oh.
So the farmers in central Taiwan have imitated that, in that they allow their leaves they leave their plants unsprayed in that particular growing season, so that this bug can do its magic and bite the leaves as they're growing and give it a really unique flavor. And yes.
You have a blog, and you've got some pictures of tea leaves. Is that, do you have a picture, a couple of pictures of that bug?
Yeah. There's a blog about this type of tea.
Because I thought I saw it. I have sharp eyes. I think I saw that.
Yeah,
so those are the little green little bugs on the leaf, right?
Right, they're cute little guys. I mean, it's not like it's not a scary thing, and it's only like, when the leaves are first budding, they just bite the leaf to probably extract some of the sap or the juice in the leaf when the leaf is tender.
Right.
And that stunts the growth of the leaf, so that the yield of the tea harvest is diminished to about 25% of what it would be if it were grown conventionally. But the flavor that comes out it's just a very unique and interesting event that happens, where the most common description of it is a honey flavor or a honey fragrance, mi xiang. I find it to be, this one seems more fruity, like peaches or something to me. But it's nothing, it's like a whole different flavor of tea than the conventionally grown tea.
Really?
Yes.
I'm so bad at figuring out, this tastes like honey, this
tastes
like peach, or this tastes like, I don't know, sandalwood. Or
yeah.
I'm bad at this.
It's all conjecture and it's all subjective, obviously. People act professional, but I think it's all what your own experience, and if you're into it, then you have more to say about it, I suppose.
Right. So, because you're really into tea. Now, you said something earlier about when you went to find Tony, that he was making winter tea. Are you saying there's such a thing as summer tea and winter tea and spring and autumn tea?
That's right, yeah.
As in when they're harvested?
Correct, right, yeah.
I had no idea.
So tea is, it's essentially just a tree, and it's trimmed so that it remains a bush rather than a large tree. But if grown naturally, they grow quite tall. And it's a perennial, it'll continue producing leaves year-round if the climate allows for that. If it doesn't get too cold in the winter, and the plant will go dormant, as in other places like Japan and China. And actually in the highest elevation places in Taiwan, Lishan and Taiyuling, they only get 2 harvests a year typically, maybe 3. But as opposed to 4 and sometimes 5 and even 6 in the low elevation areas of Taiwan. Yeah. Most of the tea I purchase is, well, virtually all the tea that I purchase is harvested 4 times a year, perhaps 3. And in accordance with the seasonal names that you have it, spring, summer, winter, and fall. So that just happened to be the time that I visited them, and it was, serendipity or coincidence or whatever, that the time, I didn't wait for that time to go visit them. I just called them up and they said, sure, you can come this weekend, we're making tea. So that was a nice opportunity.
Okay, so you actually sell your tea to anyone who's interested, even ship them to people, tea lovers abroad.
Right. You just take.
This is quite a big business. I mean, I think the packaging part is very important. You don't want the quality of the tea to be, altered during the shipping and all that. I'm just amazed how you start this business. I mean, you have to be a really, really, big tea lover to really get into this and make this into a business. So what,
I have my Taiwan friends to thank for that. They've been great role models, and they've really worked it out in Taiwan. You mentioned packaging. As I understand it, Taiwan has invented the vacuum-sealed packaging of tea. Along with the tightly rolled leaves. Okay. So it's a combination of the processing of the leaves, and typically in central Taiwan or high mountain teas, as opposed to more traditional teas and red tea, where the leaf is just curled slightly and then packaged. Taiwan has developed a way of tightly rolling the leaf so that it'll preserve the freshness and also prevent it from crumbling. It protects the leaf,
and
the integrity of the leaf. Right. It's a smaller packaging. It's tightly packaged. It's easier to ship in that respect. It's actually it sounds funny, but when you're talking about big quantities, it really does make a difference in terms of the size of the package or shipping. But vacuum sealed mylar, or a type of aluminum-based bag where you're able to seal, to lock out all the oxygen, which is what exposure to air and moisture is what will change the quality or the freshness of tea. So they've solved that problem, pretty much completely. If it's vacuum sealed, even if it's a fresh green tea, as opposed to roasted teas, which will have a much more stable shelf life, you can keep it for 2 years, and they say that it doesn't change the freshness.
Wow, that's great.
So yeah, it's been a very useful invention, and that happened sometime in the 80s, I believe. Yeah.
Wow. What do you like to have with your tea in terms of like little snacks or whatever? Or you just prefer, you think the best thing is actually just drink tea itself and not really have it with anything?
I think snacks are good.
Yeah? What snacks do you like to go with tea? I think the most appropriate
would be a more, nothing overpowering, nothing too sweet, nothing too spicy, something that will kind of mask or alter the flavor of the tea. So nuts, like almonds, peanuts, maybe unsalted even, but I don't think, just nothing too sweet or nothing too spicy. And I find that I prefer to not have fresh fruit, just because fruit is such a dynamic flavor. It's either astringent or sweet or sour, and sometimes it can really complement tea, like Asian pears, I think, are a good complement to tea. But citrus or something may or may not work, so it depends on the type of tea and the person, I suppose. But yeah, mild flavor crackers or cookies that aren't too sweet, something like that.
Oh, okay.
And more natural, less processed, I think, is kind of complements the overall aesthetic of tea, as it is an unprocessed type of thing to enjoy,
Well, now that you've been in Taiwan for almost 20 years, what is it? What part of Taiwan that impresses you, or what is it that you like about Taiwan besides tea? Let's talk about, your impression of Taiwan, your thoughts and feelings about Taiwan.
I suppose in a word, it's the people. You know,
just knew you were going to say that.
it's true, you know. I mean, there are great places environmentally. The mountains in Taiwan are unique, and I love the mountains here. And I've hiked a lot of mountains around the world, and these are some of my favorite. The dramatic scenery here is gorgeous. But on a day-to-day level, the overall friendliness and openness and helpfulness and willingness to help as a foreigner here. And I think almost all my foreign friends will agree with me that Taiwan is really unique as a society. The people are extra friendly and go out of their way to help foreigners, you know. And there's a cultural identity that might be a part of that, but I think it's more than that. I think the society in the last 20, 30 years, especially as it's developed here and the economy has kind of come to fruition, so to speak, and everything about the contemporary culture and society is unique, and I think it's what's continued to bring me back to Taiwan and finally make me arrive at the conclusion that this is where I want to live, you know, for an undetermined amount of time.
Right. Where do you want to go with 一口茶?
Well, I just want to keep doing what I'm doing, which is sharing my love for this culture and to the best of my capacity, you know. I want to support the farmers that I think are doing a good thing and practicing sustainable agricultural methods by default, in the sense that they're working on a small scale, a privately run industry, and not developing it into some sort of extremely large corporate agricultural project that exists in Taiwan. But I think there's a lot of privately owned farms and privately run and managed and cared for farms, and tea is a specialized product in that sense that people really take pride. There's more to do with tea than if you were to grow, you know, fruit or vegetables, I think, in the sense that it has a lot of skill in the processing, and perhaps I'm sure there's a science to every agricultural industry, but tea, it's a specialty product, you know, and I think especially the current generation has embodied that pride and actually consciously, maybe I know a lot of young farmers, 30, 40 years old, that have gone off to the city and maybe become a professional in another field and done that thing, and then come back to their farm and inherited and, you know, taken on their heritage with renewed interest. You know, it's kind of a renaissance in that respect, and that's definitely a deeper level of intrigue and appreciation that I have for the industry here. And I hope to be able to represent that to the international community.
Wow. What's the farthest you've sold tea, country-wise?
We've sent tea to Australia and Sweden and many European countries and Hawaii, and of course the mainland North America, Canada, and
this is really
States.
Keeping you busy.
Yeah, this year has been there's been a lot to do, and just, you know, starting up the company and getting it off the ground, and learning a lot about the whole of opening a business in Taiwan as a foreigner. You know, that's been kind of tricky, but
I know.
Like I said, with the helpfulness of the Taiwanese people, it's been rather smooth.
All right. One last question. If you were to leave Taiwan one day, what's that one sound you're going to miss that's typically Taiwan to you?
Yeah, the first thing that I think of is cicadas, the sound of this bug that I've learned about from being here. I didn't know about this bug before I lived in Taiwan.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah,
They don't have it in California.
They probably do, you know, but it's just
not
it was so pervasive, and in my especially Donghai University, the campus there, in a particular time in late spring, summer, the sound becomes deafening. You know, it's just it's one bug will start doing its thing with its wings, and then the whole, you know, for acres or, you know, a square kilometer or whatever it is, it's just buzzing. You know,
they're singing.
Yeah, and
can you make that sound? You can do it.
That's the human version. But it's,
that's good enough.
Quite a bit louder and more buzzy than that.
I know. All right. Well, it's been a joy and a lot of fun just talking to you and also sipping tea with you. Good luck with everything.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Thanks for having me.
That's a great name. It's going to stick in people's minds. So
I like it too.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Shirley.
Thank you for watching, people. I'm Shirley Lin.